Hey, math class. Um, okay, so hopefully you watched the other YouTube video that I found that I feel like explains factoring two variable trinomials a little bit better. I also like how calm her voice is and how real she is. Like, yeah, we just learned all of this and now they're taking it one step further. How dare they? Anyway, so she showed us an example and worked through it very calmly, and we're going to try to take that and go through it as well. I don't remember what they say up here, so just be aware of other variables, I think is what they were saying up here when using reverse FOIL. I always prefer when there is a coefficient in front of that first term in a trinomial, I always prefer to group. But in this case, we kind of can't do that because it just gets too messy because of the multiple variables. So we can't group. I'm really sorry. I like to group better more than trial and error, but we will trial and error and we'll do it and it's going to be fine. We're going to be successful because we watched the DCE video and she made it just seem so easy. So we'll use her same techniques, right? So I'm actually going to start with this one first, I think. I'm going to go in a different order. And that's mainly because it's set up in the same way as the one that she showed us. I have a minus here and a plus here. And so she said that meant that once I have my two binomials, this is going to be this, that means the signs are the same. And this tells me that they're both negative. So I'm just going to write myself a little note up here. They're both going to be negative. And so then I'm going to start kind of looking at, okay, what are my options here for the binomial, right? So down here I'll set up my binomials. I know I've got x squared, so I'm going to have x times x. And in this case, I have y squared too. So I'm going to go ahead and put my y's down there, and then I'll fill in any coefficients kind of around that. I'm going to list the multiples though of 6 for the x. So 1 times 6 is our multiples or factors. Just kidding, we're factoring. I said the wrong word. This is why students get confused with those. I also have factors of 2 and 3 with 6. Now I'm on to 10. I have factors of 1 times 10 and 2 times 5. Okay. Okay. So what am I doing again? She said it in that video. I am looking for something that when I times them by each other, they're going to add up to be this negative 17, right? Off camera, I kind of went through all of these, right? I did 1 times 1, which is 1, and then I did 6 times 10, which is 60. 60 is way too big for 17. I did these two. That got me close. I think that got me to 16, but it's still not good, right? Because 15 and 4. Oh, just kidding. 15 and 4 is 15. I should, oh my God, 19. 19, so too much. Okay, but what I found, and you guys would find this too, is I want to use this one and this one, because if I say 1 times 2, that gives me 2. And then if I say 6 times, I have those backwards. See, this is why the trial and error method just doesn't work for my brain very well. Ugh. Okay, 6 times 2, that's how I got it. That's 12. Yeah. This is how I did it. Okay. I did all of these combinations and I got a little confused. But like I said, there's just no way to like group it and I can't figure out a nicer way. So 12 plus 5, if they're both negative, will give me that negative 17. Haha. So I'm going to write this in before I forget it, right? So that means that my x has to be 6 right here, and then it goes with the 2. So this is what I multiply together to get negative 12xy, right? And then in here, I've got 1x, So I can write that in, or I can leave it implied like she was talking about. And then I have 5y. And so if I multiply these, I need them to be negative 5xy, which is going to get me that 17. Okay? And then now I got to remember that they're both negative. So now I'm going, let's just like double check all of this, because that's the only way that I can do. It's not letting me change color. That's the only way that I can do reverse FOIL without without grouping in the trial and error method. Okay, so the first 6x times 1x gives me 6x squared, and then I'll do the outsides, which 6x times negative 2y, we just said gave me negative 12xy. Now I do the insides. Negative 5 times 1 is negative 5xy. Negative 5y times 1x. I didn't say all the words. And now we do the lasts. Negative 5 times negative 2, positive 10y squared. I combine these to be 17xy. Bring that down, bring that down. That's a 0. That's the weirdest 0 I've ever written. Does this here match this up here? It does. So that means this is not my answer, right? I got to go back up here to this. This is all my answer. Right here. These are my two binomials that factor this guy. Let's look at this other example. I saved this one for a second because it has different stuff with the signs, right? It's got, they're the same, right? So if a positive in the second means they're the same, this probably means that my signs are different. Which means I'm going to have one that's positive and one that's negative kind of down here in my binomials. And so then the negative means right here, that means that my negative coefficient is larger. I feel like I need to make a video just of how to know what your binomials should have at the end. Again, I will think about doing that. Okay, so again, I've got x's and y's going on here. So I'm going to say x and y. I'm going to say x and y, set up my little binomials. And then I'm going to start breaking them apart, right? Because I have to figure out what goes where and what's going to get me that negative 5xy in the middle. So my factors of 12 are going to be 1 times 12, 2 times 6, and 3 times 4, okay? And my factors of 2, well, that's easy. That's going to be 1 and 2. And then I got to look for combinations, right? Which is kind of where I got confused on the other side of the screen, because I'm looking for whatever's going to be 5. Okay. So again, off camera, I kind of went through all of these, right? 12 or 1 times 1 is 1, and then 12 times 2 is 25. Too big, way more than 5. Because I know this is my only option over here, so I have to use this one for the y. But then I got to pick which ones of these. So, okay, so this was 2 times 1, which is 2, and 6 times 2, which is 12, and that's 14. That's too many. But then now I've got 3 times 1 is 3, 4 times 2 is 8. Wait, that sounds okay, right? 8 minus 3 is 5. Aha, that's gonna work. So how did I do that? I did 4 times 2. Okay, those two go together. That's 8. And then I have 3 times 1, which is 3, and the difference between them is going to be 5. Oh my gosh. So now I just have to make sure that these all line up. Okay, so if I put my 3x over here, that has to go with the 1y. Again, I don't have to put the 1 there, but I can if I want to. Wait, I put that in the wrong spot. Y, 1y. I'm looking at my notes off screen going, why didn't that work? And now I've got, this is gonna be the 4x. He has to go with the 2y. Okay, and then, the negative coefficient is gonna be larger, the larger coefficient. So I got to look at my y's and say, okay, which one's bigger, 2 or 1? Ah, it's going to be 2. Oops, that was a weird minus. And so then this one's going to be plus. And then again, because I do not trust the trial and error method, I'm going to walk myself through the FOIL and make sure that this is my answer. I want to make sure that I get this guy, that same thing up there. Okay, so first, 3x times 4x is 12x squared. Then I have my outsides. These are the crucial guys, right? 3x times 1y is going to give me positive 3xy. Now I'm going to do the insides. Okay, negative 2y times 4xy gives me negative 8xy. Oh, this is looking good. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I think it's looking good. Okay, and then we're going to do our lasts. Negative 2y times 1y is going to be negative 2y squared. I'm going to combine these two little dudes, which are negative 5xy. I'm going to bring that down. I'm going to bring that term down, and then this negative 12x squared, or just kidding, not negative, positive 12x squared minus 5xy minus 2y squared, they match. And so that means that my binomial answer is over here. Right here, these guys. So, yuck. But also, I feel like I like Design Chem Ed's way of doing that. And I want to go back to grouping, right? Okay, let me know how it goes.